On BamaInsider.com is another signing in this early signing period. This one's Kendrick Law, four-star receiver, another big receiver to get in this 2022 class. Here with Andrew Bone to break this one down. What do Tide fans need to know about another receiver being added to this class, Law's skill set, and what went into his decision to sign with the Crimson Tide?
Well, I think it's just a comfort feeling for Kendrick Law. He really liked the Alabama coaching staff. They recruited him very heavily early on in the process. He ended up making a trip to Tuscaloosa back in June, and really felt at home during that visit. And he ended up working out at wide receiver during that camp, but a lot of people list him as an athlete. Some listed him as a defensive back. I think he can play a number of positions. He's also been a running back at his high school, so he can play running back. He can play wide receiver. He can play in the defensive backfield. This is a very unique athlete. I mean, he's a sub 10.5 100-meter guy, very fast. One of the absolute best players in the Pelican State. One of the best players actually, in the country, and listed at number 98 overall in the Rivals 100. But this is another outstanding pickup for the Crimson Tide, and certainly somebody that they've heavily wanted. And I feel like Alabama was in the driver's seat for a while. Now, this was a really tight recruiting battle throughout the fall between Alabama and Texas. Now, early on in the process, it felt like it was an Alabama LSU battle. Well, then when things started to sputter a little bit for LSU, started looking more like an Alabama-Texas recruiting battle for Kendrick Law. And now, over the course of the last, really the last week and a half, it really became more so an Alabama-LSU battle, because he did take that LSU official visit last weekend. Brian Kelly, really went hard after him over the course of the last week. But in the end, he ends up picking the Crimson Tide. So, a lot of success in the state of Louisiana this year for Alabama.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And like you said, it came down to Alabama and the home school really there of LSU. What was the final decision? Obviously, a lot of craziness going on for the Tigers during the regular season with Coach Orgeron and Brian Kelly coming in here a bit late. But what was that last straw that got Kendrick Law out of the state of Louisiana and to join the Crimson Tide?
Well, one thing that really stood out to him was the engineering program at Alabama. He plans on majoring in engineering, and really was impressed with what Alabama has to offer and kind of their plan. They laid out everything during his official visit. He actually made his official visit for the Alabama LSU game weekend, and I think that's really when he felt more comfortable in Tuscaloosa. Really felt comfortable about the academic side of things. I know his family felt really good about that as well. So, I think that played a major role. But also just the fact that Alabama is Alabama. I mean, they continue to produce elite players. They're going to put him in the right position for him to have a lot of success in the future, regardless of what position that may be and what position he decides to play. But look at him right there as a running back. I mean, he does just so much. I mean, returns punts, returns kicks. There's so much speed in this Alabama recruiting class. There's probably going to be a lot of guys that are going to be fighting for returning punts, returning kicks. But you got to imagine the Alabama coaches are extremely excited about this elite speed that they have coming in this class.
Oh, you have to, certainly. And how about the character here as well, coming in, talking about the academics and getting excited for the engineering program. A very exciting player here. Like you said, doesn't really know where he's going to play when he gets to Tuscaloosa. If you were Nick Saban, where would you put him right now?
Whew. I mean, this is a guy that you could play on the offensive side of the ball. I think he's an offensive guy, 100%. Now, is he a running back? Possibly. I mean, he could play that running back role. You look at Alabama's running back class with Jamarion Miller and Emmanuel Henderson, and we've said Emmanuel Henderson, more so an athlete than just a straight running back. So we could easily see Kendrick Law in the backfield here in the future. But I think he's an offensive guy. I don't see him moving over to defense. So either running back or wide receiver in his future.
Yeah, a lot of bright games in his future, certainly for Kendrick Law here as the four-star out of Louisiana signs up with the Crimson Tide in this early signing period, 2021. Guys, for the latest coverage in all things Alabama athletics, check out the rest of our YouTube page and go to BamaInsider.com where you can find articles from Andrew Bone, Tony Tsoukalas, all things breaking early signing period 2021.